Welcome to Brain Studio. Allow us to educate you about brain and the language. Linguistics is the study of the neural mechanism in the human brain that control the comprehension, production, and acquisition of language. Let's begin with the first concept, bilingualism. According to Scientific website, bilingualism is defined as the individual's ability to comprehend and produce two natural languages, involving neural processing, language acquisition, memory, metalinguistic awareness, and code switching. Learning second language is not limited to a specific age. Children also have the ability to learn a second language as early as 3 years old, because the study believes that 50% of our ability to learn is developed by age 4 and another 50% by age 8. That is why 3 years old children are encouraged to learn a second language as long as they are exposed to the sound of languages by a bilingual household. Based on John Mayer on the Conversation website, the baby brain has an unusual gift. It can tell the difference between all 800 sounds. This means that at this stage, infants can learn any language that they are exposed to. According to Carly Spence on the Cambridge Organization website, everyone's brain is made up of neurons, which have a cell body, and dendrites, which are the connection between neurons. This is what we call gray matter. Bilingual people have more of these neurons and dendrites compared to the people who speak only one language. This means that their gray matter is denser. Bilingualism also has an impact on white matter. That is a system of nerve fibers which connects all 4 lobes of the brain. This system coordinates communication between the different brain regions, helping your brain to learn and function. However, there is a different condition that distinguishes between the children and adults stored the second language in the brain. Stated by Underhill website, the study conducted at the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York with the help of 12 bilingual volunteers revealed that children who learn a second language early on store it together with their native language, while in adult learners, it is saved in a different area of the brain. This suggests that the brain accommodates languages separately at different points of the subject lifespan, which means the structures involved in language acquisition and processing are not fixed, but change, undergoing cortical adaptation when a new language is added. Children find it easier to become fluent in a second language than adults because as we age, neuroplasticity decreases. The infant brain is more plastic, making it more easily adaptable and able to deal with the challenges of speaking two languages, like having to switch between one and the other in different contexts. The term plastic refers to the capacity that materials have to change and be molded into different shapes. It is the brain's ability to adjust its physical structure and this way repair damaged regions, grow new neurons, resolve regions to perform new tasks, and build networks of neurons that allow us to remember, feel, and dream things. It is furthermore what allows us to explain how the brain is able to mold itself following second language acquisition.
Di dalam sebuah hutan, terdapat seekor anak yang
point of view, you're saying that because of insecurity, to be sure that
a 9-year-old Malaysian girl known as Zaza went viral on her mother's TikTok account due to her ability to speak 2 languages, which are Malay and English, in 2022. In 2021, she is 12 years old and is both a student and a dancer at her primary school. Her fluency in speaking 2 languages has led netizens to leave both negative and positive comments on her mother's TikTok account. However, this never has stopped her from learning new languages. Now Zaza is in the process of learning other languages such as Korean. Sakina, you're next.
Yeah, let's go. So right now we will proceed with the concept fairy chart. First and foremost, according to the National University of Medicine, a fairy chart is defined as a running wild or untamed animal. This term also may include victims of severe neglect, abuse, or social isolation child. These behaviors that exhibit might be the results of extreme environmental deprivation rather than an innate abnormality. It could relate the relationship between language and the brain and the fairy child, or to simplify the understanding of why a fairy child cannot understand or speak human language. To begin with, according to National University's library, children that are being raised without human contact are examined to highlight the consequences of language deprivation. This eventually affected them with limited language skills and social behaviors. Then, according to past books, the cases of isolation or social deprivation cause the capability to regain what has been damaged to be difficult and impossible. This refers to the function of the last hemisphere of the brain, which helps humans in language skills. It has been hypothesized that if areas of the brain are unstimulated, they may remain unspecialized to specific function. Simply put, the importance of social interaction is important in language learning because it not only relies on exposure to words but also on engaging in social interaction. In addition to the aspect of neurological implication, language development is closely tied to specific parts of brain region which are specifically located in BROCA'S and WENICKE'S area. Unfortunately, these parts of brain do not develop properly among feral child. This is due to lack of stimulation which leads to difficulties language comprehension and production. Let me give you a real-world example that will open up your eyes. This information has been retrieved by the Child Welfare League of America. This is a story of Daniel Crockett, later known as Danny Leroy, or also known as the girl in the window, was born in 1998 and was discovered in July 2005 in Plant City, Florida. At nearly 7 years living in an extreme neglect, her mother is known to live with her boyfriend and 2 adult sons, but the neighbors had never seen any child there. After 3 years of her family living in the neighborhood, only the neighbors start to find out about the existence of Daniel Crockett. After someone finally sees the child face in the window, confined to a dark-filthy room, she was malnourished and unable to speak, walk, or eat solid food. The condition was described as the worst case of child neglect seen by authorities and was being glorified by Plant City detective Mark Hsef. After her rescue, Daniel was hospitalized and diagnosed with environmental autism due to profound social and developmental deprivation. In 2007, she was adopted by Brittany and Diana Leroy. Despite ongoing challenges, Daniel made progress, learning to respond to affection and engage with the environment. Her story is finally detailed in Len D. Gregory's Pulitzer Prize-winning article, The Girl in the Window, which highlights the critical importance of early intervention and nurturing in a child's development. So, are you ready, KHAIRIN?
Yeah, let's break it. Have you ever experienced the frustration of trying to remember a word? You feel like you know the word, but you can't actually grasp it. Only words with similar syllables and letters. This occurrence is called tip of the tongue, in short, TOT or tautological. According to Brown and McNeil, TOT in general is a phenomenon that occurs in which one cannot quite recall a familiar word, but can recall words of similar form and meaning. James 1893 was the earliest person to summarize the experience as a big gap in our consciousness that actively rejects the wrong name proposed to us that isn't the actual word we're trying to reach. Laboratory research of this occurrence only happened more than 70 years later in 1966 by Brown and McNeil. They display a meaning of a rarely used word which is ambergris and ask the participants to recall the word. However, when asked to describe the characteristic of it, they could only recall a bit of the information and not the actual word. As discussed by Heather Wright, one of the factors of TOT is neighborhood density and frequency, which is the higher the number of words that phonologically resembles the target word, higher the chance of failure. When more accessible alternative words come to mind, it will block the retrieval of the intended word. Another factor of the TOT is word frequency, where low-frequency words most likely does not cause TOT as compared to high-frequency words. What? This video is a recent example of TOT. In this video, the girl is not able to recall the word contemplating and kept saying words that have similar sound and syllables to it, like complaining and complying. English has many words that start with co and ends with ing, thus it has many resemblances that will block our mind from finding the intended word. This is also an example of an occurrence under TOT named malapropism, named after a character from a play, The Rivals, which is Mrs. Malaprop. This derived from a French word malapropos, which means badly for the purpose. It is when we confuse a word with another because they sound similar but wrong in a given situation, and intentionally turn out funny. In the context of this video, the girl intended to tell the viewers that she's been contemplating, but as it turns out, she kept pronouncing the word in distorted ways, which when she posted the video, it gains millions of likes for her humorous way of mispronouncing. TOT is closely related to the language and the brain, as stated by Frederick Bernard. The 3 brain regions, anterior cingulate cortex, prefrontal cortex, and the insula, will help us retrieve the word we intended. Anterior cingulate cortex function to send out signals that there's a conflict, and prefrontal cortex helps to verify information to match the word we're looking for, and as for insula, it contributes in phonological production to sound out the words SPH. The activity in our left insular radius, which result in difficulty in retrieving target word.
Okay, now let's move on to the next concept. According to the Richard list on the website of TAHIR, slip of the tongue can be defined as an error in speaking in which the speaker says something unintentionally. According to Jenna Itinkot, slip of the tongue is almost inevitable. For every 1,000 words spoken, we make 1 or 2 errors. There are 3 general types of tongue slip, which are preservation, anticipation, and also exchange. Based on the Encyclopedia of Language and Linguistics book, spoonerism is a linguistic phenomenon where the initial sounds offer a switch, and it often results in comical or nonsensical phrases. Based on the website of Scribble, spoonerism occurs when the initial consonant sounds or syllables of 2 or more words are swapped. This often results in humorous, confusing, or nonsensical expression. According to Nathan J. Gordon, neurolinguistics explains the function of the nervous system and how the language is related with the brain. Meanwhile, slip of tongue is referred to the minor mistake that we usually make while speaking. According to Umar Bakri, the use of language can influence human interaction in their daily communication. This can be related with the neurolinguistic, which when a speaker is not aware when they speak too fast and facing the slip of tongue. Sometimes our brain cannot think as fast as our mouth speaks. This shows how language production is a complex process in the brain that happens very fast. In the podcast of President Franklin Pierce on Spotify,
Is it for fun?
And this is not going to become a tickly podcast.
Okay.
This is like
On a
anarchy.
5-part coefficient.
My rules of play.
Now hit him with the puppy. You both present sick arguments.
No sleep, no hip hop.
the tongue slip occurs when Garrett Reynolds said "tickly quack." This is not even a real word or phrase. Maybe the speaker wants to say "twin tuber" or something similar, but the host slipped into a noun phrase. This happened possibly because of the speaker is thinking too fast due to the excitement, and he produced the wrong word and leads to phonological errors. The type of tongue slip that happened in the podcast is the example of anticipation. This is because the first syllable "tick" seems to come from the speaker anticipating a sound or structure from the word he is planning to say.
The Cleveland Clinic, BROCA'S aphasia, also called expressive aphasia, is defined as a language disorder that affects communication. People with BROCA'S aphasia normally have difficulty forming a complete sentence because their speech is short and slow, as it takes a lot of effort. However, they have a strong ability in understanding and writing. Furthermore, BROCA'S aphasia occurs from injury in the brain area, which is the Broca area, located on the left hemisphere of the brain. This part of the brain is significant in controlling our speech and articulation. BROCA'S aphasia was first diagnosed by the French scientist Pierre-Paul Broca in 1861. According to Science Direct, neurolinguistics is the study of the manner and location of the processing of linguistic information in the brain where language is processed. According to the National Library of Medicine, BROCA'S aphasia is where spontaneous conversation is limited and the utterances are produced with fewer than 4 words. According to Kendra Cherry, a psychosocial specialist, the Broca area is crucial for speech and language expression and also believed to interact with sensory information and relay signals to the motor cortex to coordinate the movements necessary for producing spoken words. People with damage to this area experience deficit in speech production that led to BROCA'S aphasia. BROCA'S aphasia commonly occurs because of a stroke. Other causes include traumatic brain injury and also brain tumors. The Broca area plays various functions such as syntax and grammar. The patient faced challenges in utilizing grammar correctly, which often resulted in sentences with missing words or incorrect verbs. Moreover, the patient found it hard with vocabulary, which creates difficulty accessing words. Even though the patient is struggling to produce speech, they can still comprehend spoken and written language. According to Test Therapist YouTube, Mike Caputo suffered a severe stroke while working in 2009 at the age of 51, which led to BROCA'S aphasia. According to Voice of Hope for Aphasia, due to the stroke, Caputo lost the ability to speak and the use of the right side of his body.
What did you used to do?
Worked Autodesk, seven sales and worldwide.
In this video, you can see Caputo spoke slowly and struggled to form complete sentences. Computers usually have short and incoherent speech with noticeable pauses between words. This can contribute to the depression because they cannot communicate like other people. Nevertheless, there is an improvement in computer speed, even though it is still limited. Through Computer's own experiences dealing with aphasia, he and his wife started a program named Voice of Hope for Aphasia. It was designed to assist and support those suffering from aphasia, as well as their family members and caregivers.
According to HASYA website, receptive aphasia or Wernicke's aphasia is an impairment of the understanding of language. Based on the Australian Aphasia Association website, a German neurologist called Karl Wernicke found this important language area in the brain, now called Wernicke's area. In simple terms, Wernicke's aphasia is a language disorder that makes it hard for patients to communicate meaningfully, even if they speak fluently. The theme Language and the Brain explores how the brain is responsible for producing and understanding language. Wernicke's aphasia illustrates this connection by showing how damage to a specific part of the brain, which is Wernicke's area, can cause people to have difficulty understanding spoken and written language. Although patients with Wernicke's aphasia may speak fluently with normal intonation, their speech often lacks meaning and coherence. They are unable to understand sentences or follow conversation. However, some patients may still recognize familiar words or simple phrases. For instance, they may understand familiar words like pill, but not less commonly used words like medication. This supports the idea that our brain has specialized area for language, and when one is damaged, it affects our ability to communicate. There's a case about a man named Byron who developed Wernicke's aphasia after suffering a stroke and falling from his bed.
What are you doing today?
We stayed with the water over here at the moment and talked with the people for them over there. They're diving for them at the moment. They'll save in the moment. He'll have water very soon for him. With luck for him.
The next morning, while Byron making a coffee, he reached for the mug and the coffee mug crashed to the floor. That's when his wife sensed something was wrong with him. They went to the hospital, but it was too late since the first stroke symptom. Byron was diagnosed with Wernicke's aphasia. The first 6 months, Byron's speech was mostly word salad, which means a mix of nonsense words, typically of Wernicke's aphasia. Around the middle of the 3rd year, they discovered the Aphasia Recovery Connection (ARC). That's when everything gets better and Byron feels more motivated and make a lot of new friends that actually understand their situation. That's all from us. Thank you!